minutes. We start with our team coverage of what is happening in the Middle East right now. Greg Palcott is in Istanbul ahead of a press briefing from the Pentagon this morning. But we start with Trey Yinks live in Tel Aviv with the latest on the ground. Trey.
Ashley, Todd, good morning. The Israelis overnight launching new airstrikes against the Iranian regime. They say there were a wave of attacks targeting the capital of Tehran, also going after some of Iran's air defense systems that still remain. And the Israeli Air Force says for the first time since the 1980s, one of their planes was in a dogfight in the air, was able to shoot down one of the Iranian fighter jets that was over the capital of Tehran. As all of this is unfolding, there are new questions about who will lead the country of Iran after so many of the top leadership within the Iranian regime were taken out in the early wave of U.S. and Israeli strikes. One of the frontrunners, according to reports, is the son of Iran's former supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei. His name is Mojtaba Khamenei, and he's known for a crackdown on protesters back in 2009 in Iran. He has very close ties in the security apparatus. President Trump was asked about possible succession in Iran yesterday, saying this.
The worst case would be we do this and then somebody takes over who's as bad as the previous person. Right? Most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, we had some in mind from that group that is dead. And now we have another group. They may be dead also, based on reports. So I guess you have a third wave coming in. Pretty soon we're not going to know anybody.
In neighboring Iraq, in Najaf, the birthplace of Iran's former supreme leader, there was a symbolic funeral procession following his death over the weekend, and people were chanting in support of the regime there, many pro-Iranians just over the border. Here is what one demonstrator had to say.
It is a symbolic funeral, which we consider a condemnation of the forces of tyranny, imperialism, and the Americans, so that they can see, even if you kill him, he remains in our hearts and our conscience. This funeral is a thorn in their eyes.
As we speak right now, there are air raid sirens sounding in northern Israel. There's believed to be 2 drones that flew from southern Lebanon into the northern part of this country. These were launched by the Iran-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah. The Israelis are continuing to go after that organization in the capital of Beirut, issuing new evacuation orders for the Dakhya neighborhood, a Hezbollah stronghold, and striking different targets there overnight. Ashley, Todd?
Trey, you're in Tel Aviv. What are the people in Tel Aviv saying about this?
There's a real understanding here in Israel that the amount of incoming Iranian ballistic missile fire is expected to be greatly reduced in the days ahead. We've already seen Iran struggling to get large barrages of missiles off, and while at least 10 people were killed here by direct impacts, it is substantially less intense than during the 12-day war last year. And so this is expected to continue in a positive direction for the Israelis as U.S. and Israeli planes go after many of these launching positions inside of Iran. Already, the sense of normalcy is starting to return to Israel. This is a population used to war, and they understand this is a dynamic. It's up and down, but for now, the Israelis are still bracing for the possibility of more incoming attacks in the hours ahead.
Okay, Trey Yinks live for us in Israel. Trey, thank you so much. And later this morning, we're going to hear from Pentagon officials with an update on Operation Epic Fury.
Let's get right to Greg Palcott live in Istanbul with more. Greg.
The U.S.-Israeli war in Iran, guys, now into its 5th day. And from our vantage point here in Turkey, it only shows signs of strengthening, broadening, getting uglier. Tehran and other Iranian cities hit by what the Israelis say is their 10th wave of attacks. Government buildings, including those associated with Iran's crackdown on protests, have been hit. This as images of 4 of the 6 American service members killed in action were released. 3 men and a woman ranging in age from 20 to 42, apparently killed in an attack in Kuwait. 18 service members have been seriously wounded. Now, we've been watching from here retaliatory strikes by Iran throughout the entire region. At least 8 Arab countries have been hit, including 3 U.S. embassies, actually pushing the State Department to issue a call for all Americans to leave the area. The hitch is, guys, air travel has been disrupted from many of the key airports in the Gulf region. Also disrupted the production and shipment of energy. Refineries closed. The critical Strait of Hormuz has been disrupted. All this causing oil prices to spike and stock prices to fall. As more players get involved in the fight, Israel again hitting locations in Lebanon after the Iranian proxy Hezbollah continues to fire missiles. Israeli ground troops are also taking up positions there as Israel is also hit, including a target in Jerusalem by Iran. Folks, the death toll in the whole region now well over 1,000 as the funeral for the killed supreme leader, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, begins tonight. Things are only getting tougher. Back to you.
Greg Palkut live for us in Istanbul. Greg, thank you. With that, let us bring in Iranian refugee and former State Department Deputy Special Envoy under President Trump, Eli Cohen. Eli, the big question is what comes next? And that's what we're all wondering here on a Wednesday morning. There's a report that the CIA is working with Kurdish opposition forces to arm them for battle with Iranian security forces, making it easier for the unarmed Iranians to ultimately take to the streets. In your view, Eli, is that the most likely path to regime change?
Todd and Ashley, it's good to be with you. I have to say, first of all, that the United States and Israel right now are, from all reporting, ahead of where they imagined they would be at this point, which is about 4 days into Operation Epic Fury. And so that's something for the American people to note, is the success of what has already been achieved, right? We have full decapitation of the Iranian regime leadership. We've seen over 300 missile launchers that have been destroyed so far. We've seen even attacks on the internal suppression system within the country. As to the Kurdish fighters, the Kurds in Iran and also neighboring Iraq are the very few population that are armed and also trained. They are very brave warriors, and we've seen them come out in different conflicts over the years, and they've been partners to the United States. So I think that for us to continue perhaps partnering with the Kurdish fighters is actually a brilliant strategy. And I also want to remind our audience that a few years ago, when we saw a protest movement over the killing of Mahsa Amini, the young woman that the Iranian regime murdered because her hijab was not perfect, she was from the Kurdish areas. And so while the Kurds are an ethnic minority in Iran, I think there is a sense of unity across the country right now, and the Kurds can certainly help lead the way for the entire rest of the population, because again, they're one of the very few population in Iran that are armed and trained.
You know, Ellie, I want to talk about Mojaba and the potential of him leading Iran right now, and what it means for the Iranian people, if that is true. And just a little bit of background before I hand this off to you. He's the son of Ali Khamenei, and he's a 56-year-old. He never held political office. A mid-level Shiite clerk known for having close ties to the IRGC, and the guards reportedly pushed for his appointment. What does this all mean?
Well, the key thing is what his last name is. He's Khamenei. So he's the now eliminated supreme leader's son, eldest son. And so what it means essentially is that what the regime is trying to do is have the next in line, Khamenei, take over for the last Khamenei. And so this is a heinous personality. He also has his own record of human rights abuses. And I could tell you that hopefully there's a big target on his head. The Iranian people will certainly reject him just the same way that they rejected the monster who his father was. And so I don't think that Mojtaba Khamenei has long to live. And I think the other thing we can take away from this is that this regime is still unrepentant. And my expectation is that what the United States and Israel are going to continue to work on is to break the will of this regime and regime officials. They need to get in Operation Epic Fury, they need to get to the point where regime officials understand that this 47-year reign of terror that they unleashed on Iranians, on the region, and even on the United States itself, that reign of terror is over. So the fact that they selected Mojtaba Khamenei is not a positive sign. They are still not reading the room, but I am confident that under the leadership of President Trump and the partnership of the Israelis, we will break their will. And the time will come when the regime understands that their time is up, and the best thing they can do is wave that white flag and let the United States know that they are ready to change their ways.
Ellie, before we let you go, Americans, of course, in the Middle East remaining on high alert as drone attacks carry on. The Secretary of State came out yesterday and basically said the following: 9,000 Americans have been able to leave the region. There are about 1,500 that are requesting assistance. Some Democrats, though, are saying the administration did not have a plan for the Americans and says that they were stranded. Your response to those Democrats, Ellie?
Look, the Democrats are always looking for one way or another to attack and criticize the Trump administration. I know that Secretary Rubio has put together a vast network of State Department employees that are working very hard to help evacuate Americans. And let's be honest here, if the United States had started publicizing some sort of evacuation plan in advance, well, guess what? That means we were going to be telegraphing our attack plans as well. So I think it was completely unrealistic to expect the State Department to do anything different from what they've done. And also, we knew that there were weeks and weeks leading up to conflict in the region. We all saw the reporting that aircraft carriers were coming into the region. So certainly Americans in the region did know that they were in a conflict time and in a conflict zone. And so, you know, there was opportunity for civilians to evacuate the region had they chosen to. I'm confident that the State Department will continue helping everyone leave who can leave. And also, look, we don't know the timeline. Before you know it, we might achieve so much tactical success in the region that that some people who are there might choose to even stay.
Yeah, that's a really good point. If you're living in that region, an American, and you see the carrier strike groups going there, you have to realize they're not on a sightseeing mission. They're there for a reason. Ellie Cohenham, thank you. A reminder for Americans in the Middle East looking for assistance, please call 202-501-4444 or visit travel.state.gov.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.